Welcome to Reinventing Broadcast, where AI meets content. Hosted by Ben Anchor. Let's dive in.
Welcome to Reinventing Broadcast, AI, content, and the future of media. I'm Rihanna, your AI co-host. In this very first episode of Series 3, we're welcoming back someone who's no stranger to the broadcast world. After some time away, he's returning with new insights, fresh ideas, and a deeper focus on AI's role in modern media. Ben Anchor, welcome back.
Thanks, Rihanna. It feels good to be back on the mic. It really has been a while. For those who don't know me, I've spent over 15 years in the broadcast industry, working across production, consultancy, and media transformation. And in the past few years, that world has collided with something big, AI. Today, I want to walk through how my journey evolved from traditional media workflows to AI-enhanced content strategy.
It's so interesting to hear that evolution. The idea that someone with such a hands-on background in media is now diving deep into AI really shows how fast the industry is shifting. So tell us, where does this story begin?
Let's rewind to 2020. I already held some AWS certifications, and I spent a lot of time exploring the AWS console. That's where I started noticing emerging products like machine learning, deep learning, and neural networks. I didn't fully grasp their potential at the time, but it stuck with me. Back then, I was still deeply entrenched in broadcast consulting, managing production workflows, supporting clients with content strategy, and AI wasn't yet something we considered mainstream. It felt far off, more of a tech enthusiast domain than a broadcast consultant's toolset.
That early awareness is powerful though. Even if you didn't fully lean into AI right then, being curious is often what sets people up for transformation later. Was there a point when that curiosity started turning into experimentation?
Absolutely. In 2021, I was deep into producing Series 1 of this podcast, and that's when I started using Descript. That tool was a revelation. Features like overdub, filler word removal, and script-based editing completely changed the game for me. It felt like the first real taste of AI in a workflow I already knew intimately. I could turn around edits faster, polish episodes more efficiently, and it freed up my creative energy for the actual conversations.
So, it wasn't just tech for tech's sake. You were seeing practical results that made your job easier.
Exactly. That same year, I had a casual conversation at an event with someone who simply said, "Artificial intelligence is going to be massive." It wasn't a deep dive conversation, more of a passing comment, but the conviction in their voice stuck with me. It planted a seed.
Fast forward to 2022 and the launch of ChatGPT. That had to be a major moment for you.
Huge. When ChatGPT launched on the 30th of November 2022, everything changed. Suddenly, the conversations around AI weren't happening in tech circles only. I met someone who told me they'd used it to summarize a painfully long email from their boss into bullet points. That was so relatable and so useful. It was the first time I saw AI go from an abstract concept to something that solved an everyday problem. And then the term prompt engineer started making the rounds. It was this brand new role. Was it technical, creative, strategic? It was all of those things, and it proved how quickly the industry was evolving.
And that led to broader industry trends. Whole communities forming around AI content creation. How did that influence your thinking?
It made me realize that AI wasn't a feature or a plugin. It was becoming a whole new layer of infrastructure. I started exploring tools like ChatGPT, Google's Bard, and experimenting with use cases beyond content, thinking about automation, research, and ideation.
That brings us to 2023. What was that year like for you?
It was a big one. I did a deep dive into AI prompts, subscribed to libraries and templates, and really began to understand how large language models work. That all came together when I attended the AWS Summit in London in June. There was a talk specifically focused on LLMs, and that session helped clarify so much. For the first time, I saw AI as something strategic, not just operational. I also explored AI marketing courses that year, They gave me a wider perspective on how AI could shape storytelling and performance across channels.
It sounds like you were really laying the groundwork for something bigger, which I assume came in 2024.
Absolutely. In 2024, I started putting theory into practice. I was relaunching my personal website and hired a marketing agency to help. They impressed me right away. Super fast turnaround, great copy, slick visuals. When I asked how they managed it, they said, "We use AI tools like Anthropic's Claude." It all made sense. Then they took transcripts from my older podcast episodes and turned them into blog articles. That was a full circle moment. AI wasn't just streamlining workflows anymore. It was enabling completely new kinds of output.
That must have sparked a whole new wave of ideas.
Yes, it did. I enrolled in Google's Generative AI course and then took Andrew G's AI strategy course on Coursera. Those gave me the business lens I'd been missing. At the same time, I was experimenting with LinkedIn's AI features, recommending edits, summarizing posts, highlighting job matches. These were micro-interactions, but they showed how deeply AI had woven itself into everyday professional tools.
And this leads us to the IBC conference, held yearly in Amsterdam, right? What was that experience like?
IBC was, again, incredible. I met up with some names I already knew, like Yup TV, who were already integrating AI into their workflows, and also TechX were an interesting company. But it was the newer, cutting-edge companies that I wanted to find out about. Mimir, a Scandinavian company, stood out with how they used AI for cloud video production and collaboration. Adapt was there, Frequency was another, and Kling, based in the Netherlands, showed how broadcasters utilize AI in data analytics. And then there was Firemind, using AI in AWS environments, but although not distinctly broadcast-centric, their products and services transcend industry. One of the AWS contacts I spoke to said, "The AI is in everything now." That line really stuck with me.
And then came the Africa Tech AI Summit.
Yes, that was later in the year. I met innovators and entrepreneurs from all over the world. That global perspective, seeing how different regions were experimenting with AI in broadcasting, education, and entrepreneurship, was refreshing. I also joined a mastermind course called the AI-Assisted Entrepreneur, which helped me think beyond media. And I started tuning into webinars from MMC Learning on AI in marketing.
By early 2025, you were ready to go public with all this learning.
Yes. I launched AI-generated content across YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, just to test workflows and formats. It felt like returning to my production roots, but with a much more modern toolkit. I also hosted an AI networking meetup in Cape Town, started speaking to developers about AI-powered websites, and explored building a web app that could handle podcasting, e-commerce, and learning content all in one place.
Which brings us here, Series 3 of the podcast and a whole new chapter.
Precisely. This series is a bridge between old and new. I want to help others in media see how AI can fit into what they do, whether they're creatives, consultants, or strategists. And as I begin my AI Strategy and Business Applications course at Berkeley, I'll be bringing in weekly insights that reflect where this tech is really headed.
Before we wrap up, I want to ask, do you see this AI wave as one of those once-in-a-decade shifts, like the internet in the 90s or social media in the 2000s?
I really do. I get the sense that we're on the edge of another decade-defining shift, like the arrival of the internet, or the way social media changed everything in the late noughties, and then again with cloud computing. This feels just as big, maybe bigger. I hope I can ride this current wave. I also just hope the bubble doesn't burst.
Well, Ben, from AWS consoles to AI podcast pipelines, your journey is inspiring, and I know this series is going to help a lot of creators and media professionals find their way forward too.
Thanks, Rihanna. And to our listeners, welcome back. If you've been with us since Series 1 or 2, you'll notice things have evolved, just like the industry. I'm excited for what's ahead, and I hope these episodes give you both insights and inspiration.
Be sure to subscribe, leave a review on whichever platform you're listening in on, and check out ancast.tv for all the new resources, content, and news.
Thanks for listening to Reinventing Broadcast. Subscribe for more on AI content and the future of media. And visit ancast.tv for more info on Ben himself, the resources, other content, and news.